Greetings everyone, so That's98 back at you with another reaction. Looking at every Red Ranger ever. We're on the 1980s Rangers. I think we'll make this up into part 2 and part 1. We'll do part 1 today, obviously. And we're going to be breaking this up because there's a lot of Red Rangers in the 80s to go through. This is where we get a lot more of the Mighty Morphin. This is where we'll probably get the Space Rangers, I believe. This is where we're going to get a lot of the, Power Ranger Turbo and all that stuff. There's going to be a lot of Red Rangers from the Americans at this point. So let's get into it and see how they do for Akonami Toku to explain all these guys.
Normal. He was athletic, passionate, and relatable teenager that struck in the future.
We saw this.
Next up is Gaku Hoshikawa.
Oh, sorry, 1990s, my bad. We already saw the 80s.
Who transforms into 5 Red from 5-Man. Gaku was the oldest of the 5 Hoshikawa siblings who originally lived with their parents on the planet Sidon. But when the Galactic Imperial Army Zone attacked the planet, Gaku and his younger siblings were separated from...
Sorry, I always speed it up a little bit to avoid any of the clips possibly being copyrighted because I don't want my channel to be taken down because I love reacting to this stuff and seeing you guys react with me.
Their parents and sent back to Earth, where they were raised by the robot Arthur G6. Years later, the 5 siblings became teachers at Newtown Elementary School, with Gaku working as a science teacher. But when Zone finally turned its attention toward Earth, the Hoshikawa siblings used the technology they had developed to become 5-Man, with Gaku becoming 5 Red and leading the team. 5 Red brought a strong family dynamic to the Red Ranger role. He was calm and serious, which makes sense because he was the oldest brother and basically the parental figure for his younger siblings. Because their parents were gone for most of their lives, Gaku had to grow up fast, and that gives him a different kind of responsibility compared to the Reds before him. He has the classic Red Ranger leadership qualities, but they come from family responsibility more than military rank or natural charisma. He was leading his family into battle, giving him a unique place in the Red Ranger timeline. He was the big brother, the caretaker, and the emotional anchor holding the entire team together.
Dang, I would love to see an American adaptation of 5-Man. That sounds awesome.
Next up is Ryu Tendo, better known as Red Hawk from Jetman. Ryu was an officer in Sky
I almost said Ginga Man, that was my bad.
Force, a defensive organization created to protect Earth. He was selected for the J Project, an experiment designed to give elite officers superhuman abilities through a special energy called Birdonic Waves. Ryu was successfully exposed to Birdonic Waves, making him the first Jetman. But before the rest of the team could be created, the Earth ship was attacked by Vyram, and Ryu's fiancé was seemingly killed in the chaos. After escaping, Ryu returned to Earth and helped gather the 4 civilians who had accidentally been hit by the remaining Birdonic Waves, forming Jetman. Red Hawk is one of the most important Reds of the early 90s due to how loved Jetman is, plus the drama and maturity he brought to the role. His discipline is constantly being tested by grief, trauma, and emotional conflict. He wants to be the perfect soldier, he wants to stay professional, but he's continuously put into situations where his personal feelings are impossible to ignore. His fiancée eventually returned as Maria, one of the main villains of the season. That gives Ryu one of the strongest personal connections to the enemy that any Red Ranger had up to that point. He isn't just fighting to save the world, he's fighting against the person he once loved, while still hoping some part of her can be saved. He eventually married Kaori, or White Swan. Jetman was one of the most character-driven Sentai seasons ever made, and Ryu sits right at the center of that. He was conflicted and emotionally complicated, while still carrying the responsibility of being the Red Ranger.
Yep.
Next up is Geki, who transforms into Tyranno Ranger from Zyuranger. Geki was the prince of the Yamato tribe and one of 5 ancient warriors placed into suspended animation after a battle against the witch Bandora. When Bandora returned in the modern day, Geki and the other Zyurangers were awakened to defend the Earth, with Geki becoming Tyranno Ranger and leading the team into battle. Tyranno Ranger is a huge turning point in Red Ranger history because this is where the archetype starts to become much more familiar to Western fans. Before Power Rangers ever existed, Geki was already the dinosaur-themed Red Ranger leading a team of ancient warriors, and his suit would eventually be used by the original Mighty Morphin Red Ranger. Geki was serious, heroic, and driven by a strong sense of justice, but his story also had a major family tragedy built into it. He eventually learns that Burai, the Dragon Ranger, is actually his older brother, which gives him one of the most memorable story arcs in the entire franchise.
Now that would have been a nice story twist to have in our Mighty Morphins.
Their relationship adds a lot of emotional weight to the season. Historically, Tyranno Ranger is one of the most important Red Rangers ever. Zyuranger was a huge turning point for the franchise, and he became a bridge between Super Sentai and the beginning of Power Rangers.
Hi, I'm Jason, the Red Ranger and the leader of the Power Rangers.
Now we're going to look at Jason Lee Scott, the original Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Jason was a teenager from Angel Grove and a skilled martial artist who spent a lot of his time training at the youth center with his friends. But when Rita Repulsa escaped from her space dumpster on the moon, Zordon and Alpha 5 recruited 5 teenagers with attitude to become the Power Rangers. Jason was chosen
5 teenagers with attitude
to become the Red Ranger, gaining the power of the Tyrannosaurus and becoming the leader of the very first Power Rangers team.
Tyrannosaurus!
Jason is obviously one of the most important Red Rangers ever, because for most Western fans, he wasn't just the first Power Rangers Red, he was the first Red Ranger they ever saw, period. While Tyranno Ranger came first in Super Sentai, Jason is the character who introduced the Red Ranger archetype to an entire generation of Western viewers. He took the dinosaur-themed Red Ranger suit and turned it into one of the most recognizable superhero images of the 90s. As a character, Jason was disciplined, brave, and responsible, with a martial arts background and a strong sense of leadership. He isn't as flashy or larger than life as some of the Reds who would come later, but that's part of what makes him work. Jason feels like the classic team captain, strong enough to lead, mature enough to keep the team focused, and dependable enough that the others naturally trust him. Jason turned the Sentai Red archetype into a global pop culture icon, and even after he left the show, Jason was still important to the franchise, later returning as the Gold Ranger in Zeo and appearing in various crossovers. Jason wasn't just another Red Ranger, he made the Red Ranger famous all around the world. Jason's heir apparent was Rocky DeSantos, the second Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Rocky was from Stone Canyon, and he came to Angel Grove with his friends Adam and Aisha for a martial arts competition. After proving that he was brave and willing to help others, Rocky eventually learned the Rangers' identities and was chosen to take Jason's place when he left for a peace conference in Switzerland. From there, Rocky became the new Mighty Morphin Red Ranger, inheriting the Tyrannosaurus powers and stepping into one of the most iconic suits in the franchise. This was the first Red Ranger replacement in Power Rangers history. Jason was the original leader and the face of the team, so Rocky had a pretty difficult role to step into. But what makes Rocky different is that he doesn't really become the new leader of the team in the same way that Jason was. By the time Rocky joins, Tommy had already moved into the leadership role as the White Ranger, which makes Rocky's version of Red feel a lot different from the original. Tyrannosaurus! As a character, Rocky is a lot more upbeat, energetic, and goofy compared to Jason. He still has the martial arts skills and the heart of a hero, but he doesn't have the same serious team captain energy. Instead, Rocky brings a more fun, lighthearted vibe to the team, which helps separate him from Jason instead of making him feel like a cheap copy. Next up is Ryo, who becomes Ryu Ranger from Dai Ranger. He was a cook with a dream of becoming the #1 gyoza chef in all of Japan. After being pulled into the conflict with the Gorma tribe, Ryo was saved by the mythical key beast Ryuseo and brought to Master Kaku, who helped guide him into becoming Ryu Ranger and the leader of the Dai Rangers. Ryu Ranger pushed the Red Ranger archetype deeper into martial arts fantasy. His whole identity is built around Ki, Chinese martial arts, and the dragon. As the Heavenly Fire Star, Ryo specializes in dragon kung fu and uses the powers of fire and thunder, making him feel more mystical and elemental than a lot of the Reds before him. As a character, Ryo was brave, hot-headed, and deeply loyal, but he also has a refreshingly human side because of his life as a cook. He's a normal guy working a job with a dream. That makes him feel a little more grounded, even though the season around him is full of ancient tribes, mystical beasts, and an over-the-top martial arts theme. Next up is Sasuke, or Ninja Red from Kaku Ranger. Sasuke was the descendant of a legendary ninja, but at the start of the series, he wasn't exactly living like a disciplined warrior. He and Saizo were tricked into releasing the yokai back into the modern world after they had been sealed away for centuries. Because of that mistake, Sasuke and the other descendants of legendary ninja were forced to step up and become the Kaku Rangers, with Sasuke becoming Ninja Red. Ninja Red took the Red Ranger archetype in a more playful, chaotic direction. He's still brave, loyal, and capable when it really matters, but he's also reckless, hot-headed, and a little more immature than a lot of the serious Reds that came before him. Sasuke was a troublemaker who had to grow into that role. Because of that, the leadership duties are usually handled by Tsuruhime or Ninja White. What makes Ninja Red stand out is the way Kaku Ranger blends ninja mythology with comedy. Sasuke is tied to one of Japan's most famous legendary ninjas, but the show doesn't present him as the perfect stoic hero. He's goofy, impulsive, and unapologetically human, which gives him a unique kind of charm. Ninja Red showed how much the Red Ranger archetype had loosened up by the mid-90s. Red didn't always have to be the most serious, responsible guy in the room anymore. Sometimes he could be hilarious while fully embracing his flaws. Now we look at Oriko, the Red Aquitar Ranger from Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers. Oriko was one of the Rangers from the planet Aquitar, who was called to Earth when Master Vile reversed time and turned the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers into kids. With the Rangers unable to fight, Zordon reached out to Aquitar for help.
Yeesh. That's a series I don't remember seeing. I was a big Ranger fan back then. Man, I missed so much of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I tell you. I say I'm a fan. I got into it from Mighty Morphin. But man, I miss the Space Rangers. Sheesh.
And Oriko arrived with the rest of his team to defend the planet until the situation could be fixed. Oriko was the first Red Ranger in Power Rangers who wasn't human. He was an alien warrior from another planet, which immediately makes him feel different from Jason and Rocky before him. He was calm, focused, and tactical. Much like in Kaku Ranger, the White Ranger is the official leader of the team, but Oriko still felt like he could take on that responsibility if it was ever needed. He also has one major weakness that makes the Alien Rangers unique. They need water to survive, which limits how long they can safely remain on Earth. Oriko pushed the boundaries of what a Red Ranger could be in Power Rangers.
That explains the Aquatar being their name. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look back at that then. That's a whole season I missed. Sheesh. And also the original Kaku Rangers, because those guys sound like an amazing time. But this will end for now. We're entering the late 1980s, 1990s Rangers, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they evolve from here with the Zeo and not Time Force, but the Zeo and Turbo and all those other guys. So we'll see how things go. In the meantime, guys, please look forward to the next part. I'm looking forward to seeing more about the Red Rangers as we go through more of the series. Take care. I'll see y'all in the next part. Bye.